Hey everybody, Hunter Miles back with Where Is This Going? A podcast highlighting and giving a platform to local artists of every medium, just because we all know that there's a lot of raw talent that gets overlooked in whatever scene you're in. And I'm just trying to give everybody a chance to get their name out there and really, admire the art that I love to look at or experience, but also putting you guys on to people you may have never heard of or had the chance to meet. And this is a good way for you to really get to know them as an artist and as a person. So you have another perspective for their art. I am honored with this opportunity, finally trying to carve out the time in my busy life schedule to actually, stay hunkered down and stay consistent with a schedule here, trying to bring you guys both audio and video now coming back. If you follow us on Spotify, you'll see that there's only 2 episodes up there now, but we are working to get those back up, as well as maybe get them on YouTube as well for some reason. Not with the video, obviously, because there's no video, but a couple life updates. I've now moved out here to Grand Rapids, so I'll be here. I still do the comedy night every Thursday at Perez Lounge, so you'll hear me advertise for that. We don't have any real sponsors, so I'm just going to be throwing my own ads in there promoting whatever stuff is going on that week. But yeah, this week we have a great interview with an awesome musician, great friend, a really calm, chill person. Very insightful, get you an introspective look at some different types of mediums rather than music as well. But just a fun conversation, catching up with a good friend, and getting back into the swing of things. This podcasting thing has always been a passion of mine, although I have not been able to display it as much. But I need you. Please enjoy this interview with Alex Perez. So, welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of Where Is This Going? The podcast about people you don't really know, but you will soon grow to appreciate, I'd hope, as we appreciate all art. I'm your host, Hunter Miles, and joining me today is I was going to say very old friend, but that would just make you sound old. I'm old. You are? All right, he is very old. His voice does sound kind of old, but a very old friend. We go back a while, but also an amazing talent, artistically and musically, and I know those both mean artistically. Anyways, Alex Perez, everybody. Give it up for my friend Alex Perez. Yeah, see, now we have one more other person in here. We can have some claps. I dig it. Thank you for joining me, Alex.
Thank you, Hunter.
Alex, currently, what are your mediums of art?
Mostly working with music in clay and colored pencils.
Nice. I love your claymation. That's one of the most time-consuming, and I see it as very difficult forms of art.
It's more time-consuming than anything.
Okay. But either way, I think that's the difficult part, is the time consumption and the dedication it really takes. How do you approach it so patiently? Or I would imagine that's how you have to.
I just feel like that's how I'm wired, is just like once I start working on a thing, like, I mean, obviously other things get in the way of like time, but
right.
But generally my brain just hones in on something and am meticulous.
Right.
And so it's a way to let me get out that part of myself, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice to have something to throw yourself into, and especially with those meticulous movements. All right, so I had asked you before you were working on, I think it was like 7 seconds left on something.
Yeah.
And that would equate to about 15 hours
Something like that.
of work. Mm-hmm. That's too meticulous for me personally. But I mean, how like small of movements are you making with the figures as well?
They're millimeters, if that. I mean, it depends on what you're moving too, because like, I don't know, say you want to make a person look like they're walking or whatever, like you're probably moving it like a millimeter or two each frame that you're taking. Whereas like, I don't know, or you can have like a bunch of things just kind of, you don't even need to think about how far you're moving them or whatever if you just want them to move.
Right.
But that's just going to look like like wild spastic.
But it's more to your, it's whatever image you want to create. But if you'd like to create, a moving picture, a moving motion, then it's, you want to get the frames.
Yeah. That's the hardest part, is just like, because if you move something too quick, it's going to have a totally different feeling than it's going to have if you move it at the speed that you're trying to, which is slower. So, like, I mean, that's still a practice. Like, I'm not very good at it yet, I wouldn't say, but, like, you get a little bit better. But that also, there's so many variables, like, as in the video that you're talking about, like, I was working on it, and I was upstairs in this house, and, like, the air conditioning doesn't really reach there. So it was, like, 90-plus degrees in there. And so, like, you'd have so little control over how much things are moving just because they're so soft.
Right.
So if you really want to have control over it, it needs to be like the right environment.
Yeah.
Even.
And not even just like a creative environment, but like a seasonal environment. And I would imagine just soft clay kind of just falls.
Yeah. I mean, you're fighting gravity too. So
Right.
like, if you want a figure to like be able to stand up and walk, like that figure needs to actually be able to stand up on its own,
Right.
and have one foot on the ground and balance, and like it's really difficult. You need, I mean, that
Structural integrity. Yeah.
yeah, you can't just like make a thing and then expect it to do something. You need to make it built for it, which actually it makes a lot of sense to me now, like why bodies are shaped the way that they are, because if you move the arm in the wrong way, like things start tearing and whatnot.
Right,
and,
things
like,
start to hurt.
and that's I mean, I'm talking about clay, but like that, like, you move your arm and you move it first from the shoulder and then you move from the elbow. Like, you need to move clay in the same way as if it has joints. Otherwise it will just fall apart and tear.
Right. Start to treat clay. You have to treat your own body like a clay temple.
Sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's a similarity I can draw, or personally I see in music and claymation. Not the environment. Well, somewhat the environment. But the variables and how you move things and you learn things along the way that, I mean, performing wise, have to help you as well. Like when it comes to timing and things like that. I think more, and I say performing like in front of a live audience, but that's only because that's the only way I can do comedy. But even just jamming and stuff, timing is a big part of, I mean, any musical, anything.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it can be taken in a broad concept, like, yeah, timing is everything, but like in music, like, yeah, I mean, the way that different pieces fit together and the way that they're timed, like, will essentially, like I was talking about earlier, like, it'll give it a different feeling. So if things are really
that rushing in
or things are really together and really tight, like, that will have one effect, whereas if things are kind of wavy and sloppy around each other, like, that'll have a different effect. Both are cool.
Right.
It just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, the mood you're trying to create. Now, then, I guess, what would be your favorite, not your favorite, what mood, whether it be in your claymation or your music, what mood do you try to convey? And I know it may change, it may differ with different moods that you're in, but I guess what is the general vibe or mood that you aim to create?
Like, more than anything, like, I don't know if this answers the question, but like, where everything is alive. Like, everything has its own uh, beat to a sense. So like, that's why I think claymation's cool, is because you can make, I don't know, like, there's one that I was doing for a friend where like is basically two characters sitting on a couch, but on that, like, in front of them there was like a coffee table and they just had dinner. And so like the napkins are moving and the plates are moving and like the wine bottles moving, but then also the plants in the background are moving. And like, I don't know if I did the best job, but like, ideally, like, you look at it and it's just like subtly vibrating.
Right.
Whereas like then there are the points of focus, which are more understandable, like, to what reality to us looks like.
Right.
Whereas in like music, like, generally I try to make pretty calm music. For not even try, that's just kind of the music that I tend to make, is like pretty spaced out, relaxing sounding. And so, but like, I like to do that. Like, I like to have things be really soft but focus, so like, if you pay closer attention, you'll find more moving parts.
The subtle the subtleties, I guess you could say. I like that, and I would definitely agree that most of your music is very just calm and peaceful. Like, when I think of you as a person, it makes sense though, because you are you are such a just a nice, peaceful person.
Thank you.
That it would make sense that your art then, while living and vibrant, because you are a vibrant, like, positive being, it also is just peaceful and calm. And I appreciate that about you. And I've appreciated about your music as well. Like your Alex and the Brave songs. Like, yeah, throwbacks. All right, well, let's give our listeners, watchers, viewers a little bit of background on your own musical, I don't know, whatever,
Experience.
career.
Oh.
We'll give it that. The first band I ever saw you in was, oh crap, Tie Dye Massacre. I was gonna say I thought I'd seen a poster on Evan Vleetstra's wall that said Tie Dye Massacre, and
Dang.
I may have, I'm not sure, but I also saw you guys perform. And the like street festival in high school. Your
Oh
senior
yeah,
year.
holy moly.
Oh shoot. Modest Mouse. You guys did Float On. Yeah, I got a decent memory. I think that was just you and Josh. But yeah. So is that where you got your start in, I guess, playing with other people?
Yeah, it was sometime in the middle of high school, whereas like I started writing songs, but I wasn't a confident singer yet, and that's where Josh comes in. As I befriended Josh like junior year or something like that, and I was like, this dude's cool.
Shout
Turns
out
that
Joshua
he can
Brink.
sing.
Cool dude.
Yeah, real cool dude. He's out in the Netherlands right now.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, that's where he belongs.
I guess so.
Back to, not like that. I just meant like back to your roots, you know?
Yeah. No, it started then, and then was in a couple different bands. I think like initially like there was one band, but we didn't have a singer, and that was before I met Josh, and we were No Street Shoes was our band name.
That also sounds vaguely familiar.
And then we changed the name to Tie Dye Massacre.
Nice.
And then at the end of high school, I think early college, I started Alex and the Brave. And that was the first time that I was like singing too.
Hell yeah. And did you enjoy, I guess that, I don't know, would you call it a freedom of being able to, I want to say like a solo work would have more freedom to it, or not, because you're relying on your own?
In its own ways, like there's more freedom because like you make all the decisions, but also there are less freedoms because it's only you. So like you can't, like now when I write a song, like I just write the guitar part or I write whatever part and then have to build around it. Whereas like if you're working with a band, you can just play whatever you have, and then other people are already filling in parts. And, like, it just goes a lot faster.
Yeah, and yeah, like you're only relying on your own capabilities
Yeah, like
as
I'm
you
not a
move on
good
along.
drummer, so it takes me a long time
Right,
to get it down, but therefore it's not drum focused music either.
right.
It's it's more focused on other things.
What do you find it? I don't know if you've made the comparison yourself. Do you find it more rewarding at all? Band stuff or solo stuff, or at least recording,
They
I guess.
fulfill different parts, I suppose. Like working by yourself, like I feel like that's a thing that gives me a lot of peace, but I also think that that's because like generally you don't have the ability to call 4 or 5 other people and have them together. It's
Right.
just like you don't need to count on other people being available and
And
having the energy to do
right,
something like
coordinating
that.
schedules and things.
Yeah, so I mean for me it's just like I work on music at night or in the afternoon or when I have days off of work or whatever, and then if I'm in a band, like that's more scheduled. It's like,
Right.
yeah, you
Your
just
own things can be more like it's almost like a work at home type of thing. But when you don't have to worry about collaborative thought, you can work as you
you
go
just
and
pick it
work.
up whenever.
Right,
Like
work as you
yesterday,
please.
I started making music at like 11:30 at night, and it's just like, well, let's see what happens. I'm not really trying to do anything.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't
But
know.
almost like a jamming, brainstorming session, and it's of yourself in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be therapeutic, because I know playing with other people and jamming can be very therapeutic as well.
Yeah.
But you can, I'm sure, certainly reach different levels of maybe introspection or even just creative influence alone rather than
Mm-hmm.
with others.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what style of music you're doing too, and what you're doing. Like yesterday, I was just like setting loops and
Right.
playing along with that, and that's like usually songs don't come from that. You're just making sounds
Messing
to make
around.
sounds.
Right.
Whereas like writing a song is like not necessarily the most therapeutic thing in the world. Like
Right.
that's sometimes it comes really easy, but then sometimes you spend. I mean, I generally try to write a song like in one sitting, so it'll be like 5-6 hours of just like doing that,
Right.
and like you feel a sense
dwelling.
of peace afterwards, but there's a lot of ups and downs in between.
Right. Yeah, that's not the great therapy session you're looking for.
No, I mean some people it might be therapeutic to some people,
Right.
but I wouldn't use that word.
That's not a word I would use because I don't have fun. No. So when did you start playing guitar?
When I was 11 or 12, I can't remember anymore.
Do you
Something
know?
like that.
You know how you started?
Yeah, like I really liked basketball and sports and whatnot, and that's what I thought I was going to do with my life. And my mom's like, if you want to keep playing sports, you need to learn how to play an instrument. And so one day I was downtown Holland and I had to pee, and it was tulip time, and I look for a place to go to the bathroom, and I go into the guitar shop. And I was very reluctant to play an instrument. I don't know why. I just didn't think that that was what I.
Well, it seems like an odd agreement too. If you want to continue to play sports, which you believe you will excel at, then go learn this other thing that you have no care about in the world.
I mean, I think my mom knew that I wasn't gonna grow up big and strong.
Right. Well, okay. You're like, oh, you're
There-
going to be a basketball star? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep.
That's probably her thought. All right. Well, you
I
better
don't
get
know.
good at guitar, I guess.
Yeah. So I was going to the bathroom, and then I saw a guitar that or I think I started talking to someone who was working there, and they pointed me in one direction, and I thought that that was pretty cool. And that was like a month before my birthday, and I guess for my birthday, since I had to do this thing, I guess I was getting excited because then I got a guitar for my birthday, and it wasn't that one, but it was
Right.
like a Ibanez acoustic guitar, and it did the trick.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took lessons at Rip Music for like 2 years, but that was really on and off. Like I'd skip a lot of the times, and I wouldn't really practice a lot.
Right.
And then it wasn't until I started writing songs that like I latched on to it. But I don't think I'd be able to do that now. That took so long, and it was just so much effort and so much doing something that you don't want to do.
Right. I
Which,
mean, which is so weird that they try to teach us instruments in middle school and stuff. Like fifth, sixth grade is usually when you get introduced to band instruments and things like that. And they do require so much practice if you want to be really good at it. Which at that age is not the is not the time
It's
to
an
be requiring
exception.
practice.
I mean, but also like as an adult, like it's very easy to think that there are more important things to do too.
Right.
Where like not going to work so you can learn how to play guitar, working less so you can learn how to play guitar, play a flute or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
that
even
seems irrational.
right,
so-
or even just play more. Yeah, because like, yeah, I play, but I only play on the weekends and stuff. Whenever I can find time, and yeah, and sometimes it's not rational thought to just be like, all right, well, just gonna put this job on the hold so I can go just jam out a little bit more every week, which doesn't, or just like I'm gonna take hours off of, but sometimes it's that sacrifice, that seemingly irrational sacrifice that can either propel you
yeah.
in whatever passion, or that's a gamble that also, I mean, sometimes you got to be willing to take. But
I think you have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to get anything done.
exactly, or you're not going to see if you could get something
That
done.
too.
Right. Yeah. I had to
It takes a long time to make something that you think that you're proud of.
right, and you have to give yourself the chance too. And that's something I learned over the past like 2 years or so. But I mean, it's helped me like realize and I think triumph at some of my real passions.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy at all. And I mean, that's the awesome thing about your passions. They show you what you're willing to work for.
Exactly. Like if you're passionate about it, doesn't matter if it's easy or not. Like you're gonna put in the work
Exactly.
to do it.
Exactly. Have you learned any other instruments besides guitar?
Not proficiently. I've been playing a lot of synthesizer lately, and I wouldn't say that I know how to play it, but I play it.
Right,
Same
but
with
I
drums,
still
and
do.
same with bass, and like same with the egg shaker and all these different things.
Well, I mean, I give you high proficiency on the egg shaker, actually.
Thank you. It's
Of course.
it's a lot of fun. It's yeah. I just like making sounds. Being technically good is not something that comes naturally to me, and I mean I'm still practicing the guitar like as if I don't know what I'm doing, which is smart.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
I
that's
think.
that's good thinking because it just why approach, because when you approach it as you've been doing it for years, you approach it with this pride that can't be taught, like that can't be broken, to learn more things.
Yeah, no, it's always important to, even in the things that you're somewhat talented at, to continue to push yourself. I don't know, like writing things that like you can't do right away, and
Right.
then learning how to do it and just practicing.
Now, does not so much musically but lyrically, does that writing give you any type of release or relief, I guess, when it comes to the creative process and like internal motivation?
I don't know about internal motivation, but it is release in some sense. Like I wouldn't call it necessarily stream of conscious writing because like kind of as I said earlier, like it'll take me hours to write a song.
Right.
But like I like writing about things that I don't entirely know what it is yet. And I mean, I heard that a lot when I was younger, and I didn't really understand. I can't say I even understand it now, but it's a lot more interesting than to like say I'm gonna write a song about losing my mood ring.
Right.
So I lost a mood ring, and now what am I gonna write about it? Like
Right.
you're only so creative to where like it's probably not gonna be very interesting. But a lot of the times there'll be like a word that's stuck in my head, and I don't really know what the word even means. And then oftentimes I'll look it up, and I'll be like, all right. Like sometimes it's like, holy shit. Like,
Like that's
can I say that?
yeah, no, you're good. No worries.
Like that's exactly like the word, maybe not literally that I'm looking for, but like maybe metaphorically that fits into like what it is that I am feeling. And I feel like it's a little bit of a subconscious dive, like to try to figure out some emotions. So like lyrically, I feel at the time I don't know what I'm writing about, but then like sometime later I'll be playing the song and I know exactly. It gives space for the song to have alternate meanings, I suppose. So
Right.
like it means something to me.
To be
It
up for
doesn't.
interpretation, kind of.
Yeah, and it doesn't always mean the same thing either. So, but like, I write a bunch of songs, so sometimes like that's not a great approach because, well, writing a lot is a good approach
Right.
for that because sometimes you write things that are so highly specific to one phase in life that like 3 months later you don't feel connected to it really anymore, and like
Right.
there's no point in singing something
Yeah.
if you don't feel connected to it.
And I would imagine it's hard to connect with it while performing it if you were to perform it live, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like continuous process
Right.
of making more music, and then yeah, then you have a lot to choose from. I mean, and then you find times where like, I mean, lately, because I had been working on this record for like a very long time, like over a year or something like that, to where like those songs were cool, and I didn't necessarily have time or like have energy to write new stuff, but wanted to play, and so all of a sudden I start playing some old stuff, and then it's like, oh,
Okay, so I have this
I
new
still like these songs,
right.
some of these songs at least too, like that I want to learn how to play again, or I remember how to play it, and that feels good because then it's not always just like new. It's
Right.
like there's a lot of new, but then you come back to some things that you resonate with again, and that's
Right.
also that's just as fun.
Right. And I mean, I think that's why any band has ever had a greatest hits album. Just drop it in. I say, why wait until the end of their career? Drop it in with some of their, you know, new releases and just bring back some of the old ones, play them with the new ones.
It
I
feels
think it'd
good.
be good. Thank you for listening. We're taking a little break here to give you a message from our sponsors, and we have none. But what we do have is a free comedy show every Thursday night in Holland at Perez Lounge, Comedy Night at Perez Lounge, every Thursday night at 9 with your host, me. What up? Come out and see a great lineup every week of hilarious local comedians. I say local, but it could be anywhere from Holland, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, to Detroit, you know, Lansing, everything in between. A lot of great, usually Michigan-based comics coming out every week. And actually, since this quarantine, we've been doing it outdoors, and we've had a pretty good turnout every week. So, come out, enjoy those drink specials, $4 wells. You must be 21 and up to get in. It's a fun show. Come out. All right, anyways. Oh yeah, I love talking about creative processes with anyone, really. My friend Gabe Rinke, you've met him, I believe, yeah. Anytime. Oh yeah, anytime we get together again, it's just always talking about how we've been creating, and I mean he's been working on a project for a while now. And it's just always fun just checking in on creative processes. And I think that's important to do with your friends as well as fellow creative
It's necessary.
people.
You spend a lot of time, if you're the person who's making something, you spend a lot of time thinking about it, and
Right.
and it's like you're very focused, and so sharing that is sometimes difficult with like people who aren't making whatever. I mean, everybody's making something, but
Right.
like it generally helps if a person's writing or if a person's working on a painting or making a record or whatever. Like,
Right.
there's some overlap. There's a lot of overlap.
Yeah. I've tried to say this before. I don't know how to phrase it, but I think everyone is an artist at some level. It's just what content are you creating and or exposing.
Yeah.
Whether it be like just this is so cliche. I don't know if I want to. A father is an artist of a home. He is manifesting and creating this family. This family may have values that he has instilled in it, inspirations that he's drawn from other families, but he is trying to create this home, this family, and albeit maybe with weird intentions if you want to portray this outward image, but depending on what you do with that, that is your art. Your family in itself, your forming of a family can be your art if you care about your relationships and those around you that much.
Yeah.
And I think it's just somewhat, that was so gross to say, but I think it's just I don't know.
It wasn't gross.
Gross is, I think, a subjective word. It felt gross to me because it felt all lovey and stuff, but and odd. But I think it's just important to see the art in life. I need you. That was weird. I wanted to ask you, just because we were talking about writing and just connecting with other creative people on their processes and things like that, is there, I'll go, whether it be a painter, a writer, or musician, musically, were there, and I know you were reluctant to start playing guitar, but once you got into it and started writing and things like that, were there any influences, in this outside world that you look to as artists?
I mean, absolutely. Like, I don't know. Like, musically, like, it started out, like, I think when I was 17 is the first time that I heard Bob Dylan, like, consciously. And that was really exciting to me because that was, I don't know, I was able to decipher a lot of in his writings to find so much meaning. And then that was the same time that I listened to like Bright Eyes too,
Right.
which was like a whole other, like still very lyrical, but like a whole other emotional landscape, I
Right.
suppose.
Definitely.
And then, I mean, in the last few years, like, I guess like I'm obviously still inspired by music, but like so much more inspired, or so much more frequently inspired by visual artists, and like even lately, like watching movies, like
Right.
just I don't know why I didn't receive those transmissions of whatever at first, and now all of a sudden it's like,
Like now
wow,
it's speaking to
yeah,
you.
like I don't know, I can watch a movie and that'll just blow my mind and make me wonder how that happened.
Right.
And that in turn makes me want to make something.
Right.
That generally transforms into like my clay stuff
Mm-hmm.
and also my visual art, but it matters to music too, because I feel like musically I'm less trying to, I think because of the fact that I've been making music for some time, I feel like I found some sort of a voice where like I don't hear something and think that I want something to sound like that. Like my music just sounds like whatever
Right.
comes out of me. Whereas like, I don't know if that's better or worse, but like whereas like in drawing or painting, like I'll see something in it, I'm more likely to want to try to emulate it in
Right.
some way, which like gets you started. I don't think
Yeah.
that that's the path to always follow,
Right.
but inspiration's key. Like you always need it.
Right.
You can only sustain so far on your own ideas.
I think, and maybe it's because it's a visual art to a visual art. Maybe that's, well, no, because how long have you been doing claymation and other visual arts?
Like, I mean, I've always been drawing. I don't always
yeah.
remember the fact that that was something that I did because I never prioritized it like music.
Right.
Like in music, like I'm gonna make an album, whereas in that takes time, and you know, there's the whole beginning and the ending. Whereas like visual art, it's not so cohesive. Like there
Right.
are, I mean, I guess unless you're doing like shows or whatever, but
Or
I'm
like
not,
a portfolio.
yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of the times it's just like sporadic things here and there, so it feels less of like an accumulation of stuff.
Right.
I forgot the question.
Oh, it was, I was going to ask, like, how long have you been doing claymation?
Oh yeah, claymation. The first time I tried it was coming up on 2 years ago,
Okay.
and that was just because I was gonna be releasing an album, and as an independent musician, you need to promote yourself, and
Right.
I'm not very good at that.
Likewise. I feel you there.
I think a lot of us local kids struggle with stuff like that. And so I figured instead of just like making like an Instagram post saying like, "Hey, I'm releasing my record," blah blah blah, or putting on Facebook,
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna make a claymation. And I think that started because I tried to make a claymation like 6 months earlier to that for a music video that was eventually gonna be on the album that I was promoting.
Right.
But then I just made like this 30-second snidbit thing, and it was a lot of fun, and it took like 2 days or whatever. And I was excited by that, and that was a lot more fun of a way to announce that you're gonna do something
And
else.
it was with your own art too. It wasn't just like a hey, or just even like making a poster about something that's going to be coming. It was your own art promoting your own art.
Yeah, it was an exciting thing to function as promotion, you know?
Hell
like
yeah.
you don't have to promote, but it feels weird to just spend so much time making something just to put it out there for it to kind of go out with a whisper.
Right.
So like you want to promote a little bit, and so like doing something that's
Because you want
exciting.
people to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a whole head trip too.
Right.
Like wanting people to see your stuff. It's like, why do I want anybody to see
Right.
anything that I do?
What
like,
if they
what does
hate
that
it?
mean? Like,
Yeah. I made it for me, not for them.
yeah, but
Yeah.
but I also want to share it because I spent so much time on it and I
Right.
like it and I think it's exciting.
Well, what music video did you claymate? What music video from Further Closer has a claymation or is a claymation?
It's a song called "Time Fly,"
Time Fly.
and it's partially claymation. It's really stop motion. Like,
Okay, yeah.
because there are a lot of parts in there that are paper too.
Yeah,
that are moving
I was
and
gonna say.
whatnot.
I realized that after I said it because that's what I was gonna say earlier. When just like the speed of things moving is what I really like too. When you could have a background of things basically like sliding around or just like what it looked like pedals moving around while the focus of the picture is still pretty stationary.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, more understandable to our senses and things like that. Sorry, it was just a random.
No, you're good.
But that's on YouTube, correct? Time Fly by Further Closer. What kind of band is that? Jake, have you heard of this band?
No.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, look them up. That's a cool band too. Alex, you're in that or something?
I'm in that band.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, when they're around. But are you also, like you said, you're working on a record? You've been working on a record.
The music is finished. Once again, I'm making a claymation thing to announce this thing, promote it. Yeah, this one's a lot more intense. Like, see, this is my problem. Is like once I do something, then it's like I like that idea, but now I learned a little bit last time, so now I'm gonna apply what I learned and do it, which turns into me taking 15 hours to make 7 seconds of something. Whereas, like I said before, like the other thing was 30 seconds and it took me 2 days, which was probably about 15 hours of work.
Right.
So, but now it's just it's meticulous but that's exciting. I mean, I like things that are quick and rushed and blah blah blah, and like I've done that enough times to where like I don't feel compelled to do that.
Yeah.
Right now, at least. So.
Right. So yeah, and you felt like you've had something you can take your time on, and I think that shows. I don't know about more passion, but at least more patience, and at least I'd say when you have patience for something, you admire the work that goes into it.
Yeah,
More.
I mean, I really enjoy it. It's just the hard part of feeling passionate about it when you take so much time on
Right.
it too. Is like, so right now, I mean, this whole project that this album or that this claymation is promoting is like, it hasn't been this like, just dive into this really intense thing.
Right.
It's been brief periods of being hyper focused for days on end or whatever, but then having to live life outside of that
Right.
too. And that's Yeah, I mean, I think it all kind of connects with the process of this album is like, it's not something that I could accomplish in a week or two, where
Right.
usually I like to do things as intensely and as uninterrupted
Right.
as humanly possible.
And it's when I'm just gonna do this passion project, a real passion project, which means it'll be done in 10 days, and just throw yourself into it. But when you pour yourself into something, I think over an extended period of time, like we had said before, who knows? Like if it, you said objectively the music is better, but
Yes.
the quality of it is better, but that's not always the important thing when it comes to art.
Yeah.
When you're looking to, and maybe not even looking to, but you know that your art does invoke feeling and mood. So I think that will prosper, or will prosper out of the time poured into it.
I hope so. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. Does the project have a name?
Yeah, it's called Orbs of a Tripod.
Orbs of a Tripod, like the bottom of that thing?
Yeah, like the thing that holds a camera.
Oh, nice.
That wasn't entirely what I meant when I used that word. There's a thing where you go on the ground, and then you put your head on the ground, and then you put your elbows up on your knees.
Oh, yeah.
That's initially what I was thinking when I thought tripod.
That was your first thought? Was
Yeah.
like what we do when we're kids?
Yeah, I mean, I do that too still sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, I try to get into some yoga stuff.
I don't know. If
And
it's
that's
yoga
about,
or
well, that's
weirdness,
the
but-
closest I'll get. Okay, so we're calling it yoga.
All right, so yoga.
Orbs of a Tripod, no known release date, but soon.
Yeah, probably like September, October. October sounds nice.
October sounds nice. For October, look for Orbs of a Tripod. Of a tripod?
Of a
Tripod. See, that would always throw me off. Of a or of the. So now
Of
I
a.
know. Around October, look for Orbs of a Tripod by Alex Perez. Thank you so much for joining us, Alex.
Thank you, Hunter.
Where can the people find your art that is now out there already, besides YouTube? And well, you just promote yourself.
Yeah. No, there is a Bandcamp, which it is alexanderperez.bandcamp.com. And then it's on Spotify under Alex Perez. I think Apple Music, maybe even Tidal. I don't know. You just pay someone and you're just like,
I don't know. Go buy Tidal. See if I'm on it.
yeah, I don't know. But I'd go to Bandcamp if you could do that, because there's a lot more stuff there, and it's free for me to put music there, which
Right.
like there's I gotta work to
I got a job.
so yeah. I don't know.
Awesome. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything?
I have a Twitter, but I never tweet. I have an Instagram. It is ALLICKSPURREZ.
That's
That is
Alex Perez.
Yeah, like Al licks. Yeah, like a cat. Easy as.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate your friendship and your art.
Thank you, Hunter. I appreciate
course.
you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you guys for listening, watching, or whatever. If you like what you heard, rate it or something. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify and YouTube if it makes it there. And hit me up on social media, H Marcel the Shell. And that's all. I thank you. This has been Where Is This Going? Goodbye.
feel beside you. Only freaking out when you're not used to living alone. There were nights past east to west so softly. If you weren't listening, they'd be forgotten at the light strips of coffee over summer's debris. This is a rain forever to feel from under my nose. But it comes wasted efforts and we're only wishing we stayed home. Will you always hear? Did you come from nothing? Will you made in a dream? A flower still without a head, something yet to become complete. Answers lie